So when did you first leave town and go on the road?
I was home. I remember a few things, and this, of course, is one. I was living in an apartment in Hollywood, and on Beechwood Drive, just north of Franklin.
North of Franklin.
Yeah, and it was a duplex, and Bill Holman and his bride at the time, and me and my bride were in each half of a duplex, and I got this call. It says, "This is Abe Turchin, Woody Herman's manager. I want you to come down here. We're doing a broadcast at 10 o'clock." And I thought it was one of my friends making fun of me, so I said, "Bull hockey." Well, actually, I didn't say hockey. So the guy calls me up again, and that's how I got my start. And I was so scared, it was just as well. I was too scared even to have stage fright. I just went out on that stage, and about the first thing I did was play a solo on Take the A Train on Coast to Coast radio.
with
and
Woody.
Subsequently, listening to air checks years later, I was really pretty bad. But Woody was, he saw something there, I don't know what, so he stayed with me. And I found out subsequently how I got the job was a tenor player named Phil Urso, a beautiful player. He still is alive. And he got angry at Woody for a tempo he set on one of their big hits called Early Autumn. And he played it like Carmen Lombardo would with Guy Lombardo. And that was it. He was out of there after the first set. So I had
a
him
little
to
bit
thank
too
for
much
that.
vibrato, you're
Yeah.
saying?
So.
And how long did you stay with Woody that time?
I stayed with Woody until the end of 1953.
So that was several years.
Yeah, and it was a great education, and then
That's how you really learned to play, playing every night with those guys?
absolutely. You know, today, schools like North Texas, which are much more advanced than the Westlake that I went to, but this guy had the idea right at Westlake. You learn to play in those bands. I mean, I could never get in the 1, 2, or 3 o'clock, maybe the 4 o'clock lab band, you know. So, but
Did Westlake have a setup like that, 1 o'clock?
well, it was only enough for one band, maybe, you know.
Did they call them that? They call
No,
them?
no. I'm just saying I'm familiar, having talked with a lot of graduates, of the pressure there. I mean, that's pretty competitive. No, we did it by playing and listening, and it was a very good education. Especially, I realize now that because Woody had discarded the alto in the section, that was the Four Brothers sound, although Woody played lead alto on some charts, by the way, he was a magnificent lead alto player.
Was he?
Yeah, absolutely, just like Johnny Hodges. But he concentrated on being a band leader, so it was possible for the musicians in the bands in later years to make fun of him behind his back, but he just let his playing go, you know. But tuning the tenors was more difficult than a standard sax section, I think. You really had to listen very, very carefully. There was none of that brilliance up on top that you could guide yourself with. So it was a wonderful experience, and there were great players in that band.
Who were some of the hot guys?
Well, when I joined the band, he had 2 trumpet players that were the soloists. One of them was Doug Metamy, and the other was, he became a studio player for years, a successful studio player. Donnie Fagerquist, I think you might have heard of him, I don't know, but both of them were just brilliant players, and they also were brilliant drinkers, and they could just, you know, I always knew I couldn't drink and play. I still can't and don't now, but they played just, Doug you probably haven't heard of, but he played with Benny Goodman and so forth, just magnificent player, and they could be falling down drunk and play. But the other 2 trumpet section players tried to emulate their heroes, but it didn't work out that way, because when they got drunk they couldn't play at all, I recall that. But those 2 players had a great influence on me.